You don't have to put it on now. Okay. I've got a microphone here. You can go too. Yeah.
Look at. Does it work? Now does the clicker work?
I don't know. Mine need batteries. I put the batteries in. I go through those things like your program and take the batteries out of it. Yeah. People won't take them out of there.
Did he even turn it on?
No, I haven't yet. One time we had a program,
Yeah.
and Vicki fought it and couldn't get it to work. And I said, "Did you turn it on?" And she was like, "No."
How will we know it works? What did, you want to get out of there?
I need to get to the,
Full screen? No
Yeah.
full screen? Where do we go?
I need to get to,
Your USB?
yeah.
Here.
No, I'm looking on the screen only.
Oh, wait, go to files. Wait.
Yeah, you know me.
No, I didn't inject it.
No, I think that's
Am I doing this right? How do I get this down? I'm trying. How do I get down? I am okay. Sorry. Hold on. Oh, is this why? Out. This. Let me just. Why is this not going down? There we go. What did I do? What I usually do is go to files, like computer files.
Click on that, see if that does it.
It's working properly. Here, hold on. Usually go to like what is it, File Explorer, like on my computer. What about settings? I like to, what I do. No, that's not it. That's what I did earlier. That's why I came here. Hold on. It's working, it is. Trust me, I'm just trying to find, like, here it is. That's what I'm looking for. Where do you want me to go? What's the label?
Presentation one.
This is the PowerPoint. What do you got about me? Really? Slideshow, present from beginning. Okay, now let's see if the clicker works. If you need me as a clicker, I guess I could be a clicker.
Yep, it works.
Yay.
Okay.
Close
Okay.
the doors.
Yeah, I'll get that. There's,
Should I do that now?
okay.
Okay, I'll try to find it. Can I have everybody's attention, please? In a few minutes, we'll be bringing the people in who have been waiting patiently. So if you have seats that are next to you that are empty, could you all squeeze to the center so we can get these people in quickly? Okay, but there are rows that people are spread out. So if you could all move in towards the center so we can just get the people in as quickly as possible so we can get this program started on time.
Mic check, mic check.
Yeah.
Audio check for the live stream. Mic check, mic check. Audio check for the live stream. Mic check, mic check. Audio stream, live check. It's all the way up.
This one works too.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just letting you know.
Oh. And when the clock hits right, then other people can come. Yeah. Yeah, after that, like, yeah. Did you guys? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
It's not.
It's still something inspired quickly.
Yeah, I'll see my.
That looks interesting in here. There's probably no water on business. Yeah, let's see. Okay. You get free. Okay.
Intro, right? Yeah. So I'll have Stacy speak into this as well. Okay. Um, but whenever you're ready to put it on, okay, just clip it on like any, that one on too? Any normal microphone. Okay, Stacy, put on. You want to speak into this so everyone at home can hear you? You don't have to like yell really loud. It'll pick you up if you maybe just turn it down. That'll be perfect too.
Oh, really?
And then Stan will take it from you.
Okay. All right.
Everything's good.
All right. So, everyone from home can hear me?
Right now.
Hi, everybody from home.
Please have the microphone for that.
Okay.
So
And we can stand together.
if you wanted to, if you have this one executive stand, which is this one is the one for the room. The one to turn off. Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right.
You're good.
Okay.
Sorry.
We also have more seating over there on the other side as well. Okay, I see. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
I guess we got to turn off your music too. Can I talk into your mic? Can I talk into you? I don't know. Whichever one that's going to make me announce to everybody.
I think it's this one.
We can stand close together. That's all good.
Yeah. No, that one's got a long cord. But I think that's the one, because the other one I have to turn on before.
Gotcha. Hello? Hello? No, this isn't it.
No.
Hello? No?
That one I didn't have to try. Let's try the other
Hello? Oh, there we go. There it is. Hello. Is it? Oh, that's great. Hello. Hi. Hi. So, who knew murder was such a popular topic? So, welcome to Murder's Most Foul. I'm Stacy, and together with Stan, we came up with this great idea to talk about murders that happened here in the Evansville area because I was constantly pestering Stan to tell me awesome stories all the time, and around patrons were coming close. And I said, you know what? I think we got something. Stan, let's do this. And he said, okay. And so here we are. So, yes. So thank you all for coming. Thank you all for your patience. I know there was a little bit of a mix-up with, registering or not. We didn't realize how popular this was going to be. I think our marketing scores hit 10,000 people in 24 hours. So that is why all of a sudden we switched, like, you need to register because I can't fit 10,000 people in here. So, anyways, before we get started, I just wanted to dedicate this
program to my mother-in-law. She was very supportive with me with hosting this program, and she was so proud. So I just want to dedicate that to her and turn it over to Stan, and you guys enjoy your night. All the speakers.
I know. Okay. I feel like I'm going in for medical test here. Okay, first I'd like to thank all of you, whether you're here in person or on YouTube there, for tuning into Willard tonight. We have not had a meeting program like this, single program, since right before COVID. So it's been a while that we filled the room up. Tonight, Stacy, she said how we started, but it's, again, thanks, Stacy. If you're on the way out, stop by the first floor, whatever there. This was just conversations between the two of us, and she's the one that really, it's like, I think enough people will be interested. We should have a program there. So again, thank her. Tonight I'm going to tell you stories of murder. More specifically, murder stories in 19th century Vanderburgh County. The good old days were definitely not good. As you'll find out tonight, murder was not a rare event, and murder weapons were about as varied as the murders themselves. Tonight's murders will cover the period from 1818, when Vanderburgh County was formed, up until 1899. It would have been easy to choose another 25 or more murders there. So this is just kind of an overview. I picked ones that were different there, so it's not all the same kind. At the same time, and we're going to have a second program eventually for this. So anyway, so I'm not giving anything away, but it's one where I've got triple axe murders. I got whole families had their throats slit. I've got, house burned down over the family. I mean, there's all kinds of other murders here that we're not touching tonight there. So anyway, tonight's murders aren't necessarily the most extreme that were in Vanderburgh over the time, but they're ones that, some of them are. But anyway, so we'll get started. Quick basic history of Evansville and Vanderburgh County. Let's get going. You got this on your sheet there. The murders that I'm talking about tonight are scattered around the county. Some of these we can tell exactly where they happened from land records and stuff where people lived. Others we just know it's in a certain area. Now, Catherine McGarry. This is the first murder in Vanderburgh County. This took place only 6 months after the first court session was held in Vanderburgh. The county's created in January 1818. Lands taken from Posey, Warwick, and Gibson counties, and a new county is created there. So the first county courthouse, and then this is one of those, I'll go with this. If you look, this is what Evansville supposedly looked like in 1820. There. Yeah, there's way out there at the very end of the picture, there's the courthouse on the right, the jail on the left, but this doesn't get built until 1819, almost 1820. Before that, everything here is at Hugh McGarry's house at the foot of Main Street, where Channel 9 is now. There. Whether it was in his house or he had a double warehouse next to it there. So when we start here in 1818, the courthouse is Hugh McGarry's house. He's the one that founded Evansville there. Hugh McGarry is also the clerk of the court then. So anyway, on August 24th, 1818, Hugh McGarry's younger brother, Jesse, shot and killed his wife, Catherine, there. And if you look on the little map, that's the one that's way up at the top of the county there, almost to Gibson County, there. Hugh McGarry's brother was younger. Apparently, most of the McGarry family, the boys, were kind of rough and tumble, were getting in trouble. You look at the court records, I mean, even Hugh McGarry there, his name's in court all the time. But what happens is, I said, Jesse shot his wife. Story at the time there was they were not getting along. They'd been married 7 years. They had been living up where the house was for only 2 there. When you get to this early of a murder in Vanderburgh County, there's still no newspaper. So what we're largely left with is the court records and then the stories that have come down from the past. When you read the indictment for Jesse McGarry on this, it's, and let's see, go. Another view of the courthouse when they did build the courthouse. This would be 3rd and Main, the ox carts going up 3rd Street there. Whoops. Sorry, went past. Anyway, okay. What happened there when they brought Jesse McGarry into town, he's arrested, they have a grand jury, they indict him for murder, and that's in August of 1818. His court date isn't until May of 1819. So, and I'll give you a quick picture, if you can see. This is John Stinson, the first sheriff of Vanderburgh County. There. Anyway, this picture was donated to the library last year by the family. John Stinson goes and gets McGarry up in the northern part of the county, brings him down here. They hold him. He's indicted. And now they have to, what do you do with him now till next March there? There's no jail. So basically, at his brother's house or in the area around his house, he is chained so he can't run away. And since there's no place to put him, they hire people to watch him there. It's the early version of an ankle bracelet there. You can't run too far, but then somebody's watching you. So he really spends his time kind of in nowhere like that while he's waiting. Now, to find out what they accused him of, when you look at the indictment, and this is, I've got a full type page here. This is one sentence. There's no punctuation in it. It's got all the legalese language in it there. But basically what it does, and it starts out here talking about Jesse McGarry there, that anyway, what caused all of this there, according to the indictment, was that he was not having the fear of God before his eyes, but being moved and seduced by the instigation of the devil on the 24th day of August, 1818. And then it goes on to go through how it was him, and he was malice aforethought, and the gun was malice aforethought, and the gunpowder in the gun was and it goes through this long list. And when you get to the end, he shot his wife in the left side near the navel, and it killed her instantly. And it goes on to say, yes, the hole in her was a ½ an inch wide, and it was 3 inches deep. And then it goes on to the end, giving about her. And then, again, McGarry was being seduced by the dark side there. So anyway, though, you get through the winter. Next spring, the court session early in 1819 there, and you have a trial. McGarry comes in. The court presents its case against him. The jury comes back and finds him not guilty there. The reason he was not guilty was his version of the story. He was sitting in his house, and the door was open in front of him there, and the stupid dog outside was barking, and it was bothering him. So he picked up his rifle to shoot the dog. And right as he pulled the trigger, His wife turned the corner and walked into the front door, and just, the story was she'd been shot in the heart. From the indictment, it was down a little bit lower. But anyway, the jury believed it there. And Hugh McGarry's little brother then got off. Now, to show what kind of person Jesse McGarry was, a year later, he was acquitted of assault and battery to commit murder on somebody else that he didn't get along with either. So anyway, their first murder, that's how things were back then. Okay. Now, 1823, we're a few years later. We now have a courthouse. We now have a jail. The courts are actually working and stuff. Beginning in 1818, when the courts open, the first cases are predominantly adultery cases. There, it's larceny is next. Occasionally, you got some kind of violence and stuff, but the big cases come up like this. The 1823 case when Thomas Casey's killed is also the first hanging in Vanderburgh County. There were only 2 hangings in Vanderburgh County over the years. Anyway, this one here, and that's why I've got little titles on all these. When helping your neighbor goes horribly wrong. What happened here, that's the next court. This is the courthouse again, and we'll get to that. And we're going backwards. Anyway, Thomas Casey lives down near Henderson on Old Henderson Road. His nearest neighbor is John Harvey. Apparently, John Harvey and his wife fought a lot there. And on May 8th, 1823, there was a big fight. I guess Harvey beat his wife up, dislocated her jaw. And the neighbors came there and they got Thomas Casey to come and help reset her jaw. They needed more people there. So he was the closest neighbor to the Harveys there. So he goes over, they get her jaw back in place there. And while he's there, one of the other people that were there told Thomas Casey that John Harvey does not like you there. And while they're working there, him and Harvey have words. And they tell him again there, not only doesn't he like you, he has a knife. So Thomas Casey, he leaves the house there. He goes out in the front yard there and he picks up a big stick there. And John Harvey comes to the door, sees he's got a stick, goes back, gets his rifle, and shoots him straight through the heart. They're all expert shots back here. Then, Casey, he's dead in the front yard. He has 2 daughters and a wife. Then we do know that. It's one of those where you don't know for sure exactly, but within a couple of weeks of after his death, there's 2 kids with the same last name that have been appointed guardians there like that. So it's obvious that, something happened to the father then. John Harvey, he takes off then. And the new sheriff at the time there and others in the neighborhood go looking for him. A few days later, they do find him. And let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry. We've got the wrong one loaded. Let's see here. Because what's on here is not, this is the early version, which we should have tried this. Just a second here. Come on. Sorry about this. We were trying to load this there was more than one. That's why my pictures aren't matching. Oh. Just a second. Technical difficulty. Sorry. Huh? Yeah, and it's not coming up. That's why I say there were supposed to be two of them on here. There, you can whip over here real quick. Just a second here. Let me get out completely. Okay.
So I think if we click on there,
Yeah.
and then you click on there,
Let me try to unload it and then reload it.
and then I think take it out and then put it back in.
No. I think it's on this one.
What happened?
Huh? We got the wrong program, apparently.
Okay, so you want to do the way I did it?
Yeah.
So open folder into view
Yeah.
files. You want to look for presentation again?
Yeah, come over.
Go PR, yeah. That's all I needed.
Yeah, that was the
And
one you had open.
that's the
and
one
it
I had
wasn't-
open and it was the wrong one. Sorry.
Is this the computer you used for it?
No, it's upstairs. I downloaded it onto here. Click on PowerPoint. No.
The PowerPoint here.
Yeah, that. Nope.
Do you want me to run upstairs, get your computer and drag it in?
No, it's the main one up there.
It's not a
Yeah, it's not a laptop.
I can still probably manage to find it.
Click back out. You tried the
You
other.
get two, right?
Yeah.
Let me try. 'Cause I mean,
Is that the
Yeah.
one that you already checked?
This is the one we're checking.
can I try and get? What would it look like? Would it look like the same thing?
Well, it's on the computer upstairs. If you open PowerPoint,
Yeah.
and is the one that you use, do a reset when you open PowerPoint, and it should have these resets on it.
Yeah.
So I think I would just do that, and then if you can check one of his USBs.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
You mind, Stan? I can get up there and.
Let me see if this one is it.
So what would the label, the file name be?
Is that
I think
presentation
it's
one?
presentation one. So I think when you do open it, if he doesn't save it, you're gonna probably have to click recover when you open it. If he doesn't like to save. So when you open a file and it doesn't save, it'll say recover, not save.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's probably what's gonna happen
Okay.
if you didn't officially save it.
I can go up real quick.
It's the one, the middle computer, and then Vicky's desk, then's the other one.
The one that.
Where I usually sit at the corner.
So the computer
Yeah.
in the corner?
Desk, computer, Vicky's computer, the middle one.
So middle.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Try opening
Can
this
I get
one.
I'll be right back.
There we go. See if that's it.
This looks longer, maybe. You remember
Yeah,
where you were?
yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
here, if we go to slideshow.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is the
sorry.
right, this is the right one. Okay.
And then go ahead and
We're, yeah, I got it. Okay. Okay, we're back. There. Technical difficulties there. Uh, Sorry about that. I was doing several times remodeling this and the wrong one's in. Okay. Um, anyway, news comes out there of John Harvey's killing of Thomas Casey. They end up finding him a couple days later. He's tried a few days later. That's the one thing you'll find here tonight mostly. If you've got a murder, they're usually within a couple weeks is the trial. There's no long delays beforehand here. Anyway, John Harvey, he's sentenced to death. Um, he appeals, which was ruled the next day. They didn't grant his appeal. Um, anyway, and they assigned there that on a certain date there he is going to be hung. And what they end up doing is, and okay, here's where we're at, coming to. They hang him there. Evansville at this time probably has 200-300 people max on a good day there. If that, 1,500 people show up for the hanging there. So, I mean, it was not just local there. They set the scaffold up at the corner of 3rd and Main in the middle of the street there. He had the choice there. They gave him, you're going to be hung sometime between 9 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon there. That was the way the court ordered. It gets later in the day there, and they're not doing anything. The crowd's waiting, and they ask him, "Well, do you want to wait till 1 o'clock?" And he's there, "No, let's go now." Then, so anyway, to keep order there, they have the local militia shows up there. The soldiers form a square around the gas, the hanging there. And anyway, though, they hang him, they take the body down, they dig a hole right there next to 3rd Street and bury him there. If you know it, there, down on the corner of 3rd and Main there, the one corner there, it's the old Washington Hotel is what the building is. That was built in the early 1850s. When they were working on that and the adjoining buildings there in the 1850s, they dug up a skeleton. And they were like, okay, what the heck is this here? And then everybody's like, oh, John Harvey. They buried him there at the base of the scaffold there. So anyway, though, so he's buried. Now, there's a story there later on that a doctor took his bones and reconstructed the skeleton, and then supposedly that was sent down to the museum. The one at the museum can't be him there, but that was the story that had gone on for years there. Now, quick history lesson. We had the old courthouse jail I showed you there. This, in the 1850s, when they're building the Washington House over on the corner over here, there you got a new courthouse, and then the jail is behind it there. Here's the courthouse, and the building all here off to the left then is the sheriff's house, and then the jail runs, it's a 2-floor building, runs back behind it there. And this is the one there, the rest of what we're talking about when anything involves jail and stuff, this is where we're talking about there. Now, next one, Catherine Carlisle. They lived out be the south side of Pigeon Creek where Oak Hill Road crosses there, her and her husband. And what happens to her is they have a nice little farm. They're making money. Her husband went into town and got drunk. He comes home and he wasn't a happy camper. Let's see here. The official there. I'll give you it there. Anyway, it's the first murder-suicide in Evansville. Samuel Carlisle, there, he comes home there, 9 o'clock, intoxicated there. He's got his jug with him there, and anyway, he made his wife get up. There, he had somebody else that was at the house there and commenced quarreling. Um, he ordered the guy out. He got his rifle there, and he shot his wife there and got her in the shoulder. He wasn't as good as marksman as the other people here. So after he missed her, then he strikes her several times in the head with the butt of the gun and mashes her skull in, and it killed her instantly there. The guy who was there also at the farm there, he, fearing for his own life, he took off for the neighbors there. And anyway, he got to the neighbors, to get somebody to help him there, and they come back and they find Samuel Carlisle. He's seated on the edge of his bed. He's dead. He had pulled his boot off there and had put the muzzle of his rifle in his mouth and used his toe to push the trigger there. And anyway, they're talking about, yes, it was liquor there, and it was the evil of liquor there, why this happened. Now, on the far side there's two coroner's inquests. Early murders, that's a good way to find out what exactly happened to who. After somebody died, the coroner, and then he'd pick 12 people there, good men, voter people, and they would examine the body and check everything out to see, what had happened there. And on the top there, it's that, she was beaten to death. He committed suicide. Now, the reason I've thrown the bottom one in, this is on the same day, and this is kind of a bonus there when we're talking about the bad things happening around here. They found a barrel in the river. And they take the barrel in and they pop the barrel open, and inside there's a body. The guy's head, arms, legs are all chopped off, and he's shoved back into the barrel like that. They don't know who he is. They don't know how far he's come down river or anything like that. But it's just one of those different things that happened back then in the good old days. Apparently, they didn't put enough weight in for him to sleep with the fishes there. Anyway, and a quick story here. Where the Carlisles lived, there at the base of Pigeon Creek and Oak Hill on the south side there. By strange coincidence, 50 years later, Nora Kiefer is killed. It's a relatively famous case coming out of Warwick County. Anyway, her body was jumped in Pigeon Creek there. It was found there. It had drifted under the bridge, Oak Hill Road, and it snagged on branches there, just below that, on the Carlisle, what had been the Carlisle property there. So you've got that, and then 50 years later, you've got the start of another murder investigation. Then, and here again, real quick, here's the one there. They found the barrel in the river there. The man, horribly mutilated, was found within. His head, arms, and legs had been cut from his body and were in the barrel there. And they couldn't identify him. And their thing, and this is the coroner's inquest, appearances placed the fact that he had been foully murdered beyond doubt, and over there. So anyway, another couple years later here, we've got Elizabeth Collins. She lived within a mile of downtown. We know the area there. She had a roomer, which happened to be her nephew there, Marshall. And anyway, he comes home there, and she had been trying to collect money from him. He owed rent and stuff. And what happened there, when he came home there, he went after her for wanting money from him there. He grabbed her by the hair, drug her outside, and commenced beating her. Then he went in and got a club. She went to the house, and all she found was a stick there, and in a fight like that, the stick isn't going to win there. He struck her once on the side of the head. She dropped and never spoke again. He took off across the fields. They came looking for him. His dad turned him in. He was hiding in a haystack at his father's house there. And anyway, they had their inquest there on him, and they decided there he was. And what gets me here? Okay, this is. Newspapers were not politically correct in the 1800s there. There's no presumed innocent. There's no, oh, let justice there. When you get down through here, you see down near the bottom, the case is clear and the hemp awaits him. The hemp being the rope there. What's interesting about this case there is, for some reason, it made it in the news. This story out of the Evansville Journal, it was published in the New Orleans papers, it was published in other Indiana papers, it was published over in Ohio and Missouri there, that this was such a terrible crime at the time there. What they ended up doing then there, her nephew there, they found him, they didn't find him guilty of murder. They went to manslaughter. They like to do that a lot in trials. So he only got 24 years in prison then. One of the things there, if you did murder, then you had to do the whole hanging thing, and that cost money there. And so it's one of those things that at times there you would think people there, deserve to be hung. Anyway, next one here. John Welsh, he's sometimes Walsh, it's Walsh, it's Welch. His name's there kind of different. April 13th, 1862, he's killed, or he dies. And my thing here, John Welsh, he's a constable for Evansville there, so he's a policeman there. February 1862, he gets married. April 1862, the beginning of the month there, he runs for re-election and he gets re-elected by 2 votes there. So everything's going good for him there, apparently there. What happened was down near Henderson there, the Ogle family had a boat and they were in trouble in Indiana and Kentucky. Within a week before his death, the police had raided the boat. They captured one of the brothers. The mother still there at the boat. The second brother ran off there, and they're searching for him. And what happens there is, roughly a week later, John Welch, he's trying to find the guy that they've lost there. He's found the boat, the mother's there, and he's sure the guy they're looking for is also there. So anyway, he sends the one person with him to go get help. And after he sends the person to get help, he decides he's going to go in anyway by himself there. So anyway, okay, like I said there, see, he won by 2 votes. He's been reelected. He gets there. He goes to the boat. They had a dog tied up outside, which started barking to warn them that people were there. And this would be down near where the museum is on the river. He gets to the door, and the mother of the person he's looking for, Miles Ogle, she answers the door, sees who he is, slams the door. And anyway, Welch takes out his gun. He's going to shoot the dog if it comes after him. And while he's doing that, he decides then he's going back in the house. When he starts to go into the boat like that, the house part on it there, Miles Ogle in the back, he's yelling to his mother, "Let him in, I'll kill him." And he still decides he's going in there, and he goes in, and Miles Ogle has a double-barreled shotgun, and he's got a pistol there. He shoots him twice. While he's down, then the mother has a club and starts beating him there. And Miles runs off. Eventually they find him down in Kentucky there. You got him running down river in a boat, and you got the other police finally got there and are chasing him then. Anyway, Constable Welch, he lives through the night. He dies the next day. And what's really strange about this, and I've had several inquiries there, he's the first Evansville police person there to be killed on the line of duty. Apparently, he's also the first in Indiana there, and I've had several police groups, they're trying to find out where he is to put a marker on there. We don't know where they buried him. I still keep looking there. They go through this whole story, and there's a reward for Miles Ogle. They find him, and you go through this, and there's never anything where they buried him there. So, and that's what I say. They offer a reward for Miles. He gets arrested, brought back. Now, Miles Ogle, okay, he's killed a policeman there, which usually is not good for you there. He also goes to court. He gets a jury there who doesn't find him guilty of murder. They also go down to manslaughter there. And so Miles Ogle then ends up in jail for 24 years there for killing a policeman there. The Herkey family. This is one of those where you got the big time murder. The Herkeys there, Henry Herkey, they lived out near Kaysen, out on the west side, had a small farm. August 29th, 1863 there, Louise Herkey goes into town, into Evansville with her son to go shopping. Leaves her husband, the other kids, along with her sister's one child there at the house. They come back hours later, and they get there and they can't find anybody. The house is closed up. The mother, she finally goes in, and some of the kids there are all bleeding, banged up, beaten. One's been axe taken to her head there. She sends her son out looking for her husband. They find him out in the field. Him took the axe to his neck, almost cut his head off there, left him. Anyway, so they get the neighbors there. Everybody goes out looking there. They also find, people said they saw two men there around the house there earlier in the day while she was gone. She talks to the one daughter and she says, yeah, there was a tall guy and there was a shorter guy there. They came to the house. The taller one came in, ransacked the place looking for things of value. And then that's when the kids inside, the two that didn't get killed, he worked them over with the axe handle rather than the axe there. So anyway, though, one of the things there coming out of this, and it's kind of a weird, here again, there, when you look there under the coroner's inquest there, the verdict of the jury was the deceased came to death by murder by the stroke of an axe upon his person by a person or persons unknown. That's the one they said, yeah, they went through the vertebrae and basically, I guess, just whatever skin was left was holding his head on. Trying to find who killed them. They've got a description vaguely there of who they thought. They're out looking in the fields, looking for tracks. They thought the two people that they saw maybe were soldiers. They end up going through the hospitals and stuff downtown Evansville, the military hospitals, and they do find two men that sort of match, and so they bring them in. Now, the one on the left, right there, sorry, the Eyes of the Dead. There was music. There was an idea at the time there that when you died, the last thing you saw before you died was left burnt on the retina of your eyes there. And anyway, there, one of the photographers in Evansville, he goes out to the farm. They're getting ready to bury everybody, and he's got all his camera equipment and starts taking pictures there of Henry Herkey's eyes there. And he's heard this. It came out of France mostly there. So he goes through, takes all these pictures, and then he starts blowing them up. He starts trying to refocus them. And he comes up thinking there, he's got a picture of a man. He has a mustache, broad forehead there. But he takes these pictures there, and this is the image that he said, he's saying he gets there. Well, two other doctors check this out too, and they're, think, yeah, there is sort of something there. A third one, isn't sure, but they're not sure that, they're trusting all this, but it's just one of those things that we're trying to do anything we can to figure out who killed this family there. They ended up, the two soldiers that they had, they did release. They didn't have enough evidence there to hold them. The Herkey family there, the family murder there, still, they arrested other people over time there. They never did solve this murder there. 1865, Joe Gowen. And the question mark is there's a second person and we don't know his name there. 1851, if you went out Stringtown, which was the old state road there going toward Pigeon Creek there on the west side, there was an African-American family living there, had a farm, had several pieces of property. It was the Gowen family there. What happens there in the end of July of 1865, the Civil War is over there. A lady who lived up in the area of Stringtown, what they called Mechanicsville at the time, up near Stringtown School. On a Sunday morning, she's going downtown to St. Mary's Church, walking to Mass. That's quite a run there. As she gets to the bottom of the hill, she goes past like the Gowen farm, down near where Morgan Avenue crosses there. She's assaulted by an African-American man. And at the time there, supposedly there were two. One supposedly was Joe Gowen. Another one is the guy we don't have any idea for what his name was there. She was cut up with a knife, like I say, sexually assaulted. Her jewelry, everything else was stolen. They ripped the earrings out of her ears. All of the money she had there, like that, was taken. Apparently, she was going to be killed, but somebody else comes down Stringtown Road, and they ran off. What happens after that, they get her back home. She's not really in any real condition to talk and stuff. So people out in the area, the neighbors, all go looking for anyone that's black, basically. First person they find is Joe Gowen's because he lives there. He lives up the road there. He gets brought into jail there. They're holding him. They find another guy who didn't really live here. He was over in the area now where the county jail is on the north side of the creek. Had come in fairly recently there. Anyway, he very quickly says, Gowen did it there. And it's like, you look there, he's got some of her money there. So they end up, going through this. Well, Gowen did have $1 that the other guy paid him for something there. The guy there that they brought in, he had blood all over his clothes. He had her jewelry. He had the rest of her money. Everything else there he had. So they bring both of these guys down to the jail. There, like I say, this is a Sunday. There's no court or anything going on, and they put both of them in jail to hold them, for court to meet. What happens then is a mob gathers at the courthouse. They aren't happy. If you know anything there, past history, the worst thing anyone who was African American male could do was do something involving a white woman there. They want him out. The jailer, he refuses to um, open the jail. The crowd breaks up, disappears. 3 hours later, they come back. They break open the jail. And anyway, both of them there were killed. Um, they were shot multiple times. They left the bodies hanging on the light post at the corner of 3rd and Main. Um, After the crowd dispersed, they snuck the bodies away. They were buried secretly. Nobody knows where they buried them because they were afraid if people found out, they might desecrate the grave there. In the meantime, by this time, they're ready, should have been ready for court. They've talked to the lady there, and she's well enough that she says Joe Goins was not there. He was not involved at all. It was the other guy. The mayor at the time, he had issued a proclamation. He has got any kind of law enforcement he can recruit to try and stop the problems that were coming out of this. The mayor, bluntly says the one person had nothing to do with this, and you guys have killed him there. What happens then, before this gets under control there, people go after anyone African American in town. People are leaving the city there. What they end up to is they get people coming over from Kentucky trying to incite the crowds there. At the top then, there on the right there, it says house burned. And supposedly this was a group of people from Kentucky then. They went out and burned down the Goin place on Stringtown Road, and even here, when they're talking here, they don't realize the connection between Joe Goin, who had been killed, and the old man's out here in the country there. Goins, after this happened, within a month, they sold their property and moved out of Evansville, out of Vanderbilt County. And that's what's his proclamation. And in the newspapers at the time, while this was going on, everybody this doesn't happen here. This has never happened here before. You've got, something's wrong here there that something like this would happen. Next one. Lizzie Sawyer was killed February 2nd, 1871. She is African American. Her husband, or last husband there, she had left him. Ben Sawyer has this terrible reputation. For an African American man in Evansville there, he is in the paper a lot there. This is a few years earlier in 1867. There, his wife at the time, and it wasn't Lizzie, there, he had taken her into a room with a large knife, and anyway, and pretty much chopped her to pieces there. Now, you get, though, then on the next page there, they had to wait for the trial until she was well enough that they could bring her to court. But then you see there on the next one, they found him guilty and fined him $5 and 10 days in jail there. Being a woman there in court there as the victim was not really helpful. Anyway, though, as you come along here, another year later there, okay, Ben Sawyer there, he's beaten another African American woman because whatever there. And then they also note that, 2 months ago, he cut up an old African American there, stabbed him there like that, and then took off for New Orleans. Now, then the next one there, he's beaten his wife up there, and it's just that common there, like that with him. 1869, he marries Lizzie. They got along fine for a while. Then his drinking and stuff, he kept running off then. She's on the boat, GW Thomas there, down near Vine Street on the river. She's a seamstress. She also does laundry, everything for the boat. And Jesse comes to see, I mean, not Jesse, Ben comes to see her. He's wanting to make up again and wants them to get back together there. And anyway, in the course of the conversation there, he takes one of her irons. This is a number 7. A number 5 is a little bit smaller there. Grabs her by the throat and proceeds to bash her skull in there, like that. The girl that was working with Lizzie there, she was in an adjoining room and heard and saw all of this then. Ben runs off. They've got everybody looking for him, and they think he's heading for New Orleans or downriver or whatever. And basically what he does, he walks around downtown and nobody notices him. He finally there, he doesn't know what to do. He goes walking toward the courthouse, toward the jail, and he runs into a policeman who's kind of looking him over and wants to know who he is there, ID. And finally, Ben Sawyer just says, "I'm the guy you're all looking for." And they take him into custody. He goes on trial for killing his wife there. And it's the one where it's another one of those, the trial starts at 9 o'clock, and by 11 o'clock or so there, the jury's in, because there really wasn't any kind of defense. All they kept saying was, in effect, that either he's insane or she had been running around and made him extremely jealous, and that's what drove him to it there. They didn't buy any of those. This is the second and last hanging then in Evansville. Down that same corner there, 3rd and Main. The way the courthouse was set up there, the courthouse is facing Main Street. On the opposite side, parallel, is the jail. You've got another building connecting the backside, and then there's a wall along 3rd Street. So that you've got an enclosed area in the middle. And I guess that was, when they would let the prisoners out then. So the scaffolding was set up inside. And unlike the first trial for murder and first hanging, this one here is very low key. The sheriff does not want the big crowd. He does not want all the publicity. People are trying to get in as visitors, as newspaper people. They're climbing up on surrounding buildings on the roof there because they're not letting anybody in. They even stretched a tarp across between the courthouse and the jail to block off the view from that way. So it's this really subdued procedure there. They go through all the ritual there at the time of the hanging. And anyway, it ends up, they're not together, but Ben and Lizzie are both out in Oak Hill Cemetery buried there now. And that's what they execute. They asked him there before, is there anything you want to say and stuff? And it was like, well, I should have been treated better, blah, blah, blah. And then it was I don't have anything else to say. I'll see everybody there in the afterlife, so I really don't need to talk to him now. Now, quick one here. Hume Redmond, and we're getting down to the last two. Hume Redmond there, sometimes it's Red Man, and sometimes they use his full name, Joel Hume there. October 6th, 1882, he lives north of Mount Vernon in Posey County. He had a terrible temper. He had intimidated everybody for years. I think there, if you look there, the records like that, I think he shot his father, he beat up his brother, stabbed him. In the Army during the Civil War down in Memphis, he killed an African-American man just for the heck of it there. His wife there, who's involved here, was the fourth wife there. What happened is on October 6th there was a big fight, and everybody in the neighborhood could hear this. They knew what was going on there. There's a gunshot. They called the sheriff. They come out there, and they find Hume Redmond there in the house, sitting there, and his wife's there, dead, with a gun in her lap there. And Hume said, "Well, I was trying to show her how to use a pistol there." And anyway, and she's been really there, stressed and stuff, and she's been suicidal for a long time there. And somehow she took the pistol and went like this and shot herself in the back of the head there. And nobody bought the story there. They brought him into Mount Vernon. Now, the Redmonds, that name still exists in Posey County. Another name there that still exists, the McFaddens. His ex-wife there by murder, there was a McFadden. The people in the neighborhood around where he lived came into town and wanted to not wait for the trial. It was one of those where, let's say, here we go with the, but you got, this huge crowd. Hovey, Congressman Hovey happened to be in Mount Vernon at the time. He went and talked to the crowd, tried to get them to disperse, there. And it was one of those things where the one Evansville paper there said, by the time you read this article, he'll already have been hung there. It was that kind of how it looked there. What happened there is the people in the sheriff in Mount Vernon there, they shoved Redmond on a train to Evansville to get him out of town there. So they bring him into Evansville. They put him in the jail down at 3rd and Main there. So that's on the 8th there. What happens is the mob from Mount Vernon, from Posey County, come to Evansville there. Somewhere between 75 and 200 people came over. They took the back roads. They stopped like the railroad from Evansville to Mount Vernon, where there was a station with a telegraph. They put somebody there to keep anybody from using the telegraph. They didn't want anybody to know they were coming to Evansville. They come in West Franklin down by the, like that. And anyway, somebody finally saw this group and said something. But it's late in the day and everybody's gone home. You've got the jailer and a couple other people. When they saw this group coming, they put in a call for more of the police to come back. You have to remember, in 1882, there's no text, there's no phone. So they got people running around trying to track people down. The group gets to the jail. They break in. They brought their sledgehammers and stuff with them there to get in. They finally get Redmond there. They got him tied up, and they're going to take him back. The whole thing, they wanted to take him back to Mount Vernon and hang him there. This was just a side trip to get him like that. So in the meantime, while all of this is going on, the two ways to get people to come downtown somewhere in 1882 was the fire alarm and the police alarm. The fire alarm was just this big bell that they rang, and everybody came like that. Somebody started ringing the bell as this is going on. They put Redmond in a carriage, a wagon. They're taking him up 3rd Street to head back to Mount Vernon. At Sycamore there, they run into the fire engine that's racing downtown to find out where the fire is. So in the meantime, while this is going on, more of the police start showing up. You end up with this running gun battle downtown as they're trying to take him out of town, and the police are trying to prevent this there. Gets to a point where they think they're going to lose him. There, the police are going to end up getting him. So the way the story was written there, they shot him about 24 times there. And then to make sure he was dead there, they used one of the sledgehammers that they had used to get into the jail on his head there. In the course of this, the brother-in-law of his wife, the deceased there, he was shot and killed, as one of the mob there as they were trying to leave town there. And what happens there, and it's like, the same thing. Okay, this is not Evansville people there and stuff, but these people came in, and you get the version there on the right there, okay, he was taken out by the mob and brained with a sledgehammer there. This goes on then a few days later, they're still, several days after this, digging up more information about, Redmond and all the stuff he had done over the years. They did manage to capture some people in the mob there. They put them on trial eventually there. But at the time, they were still talking there. Now that they had these people in jail, that the mob might come back and try to get them out too there, to rescue them there. Now, the last one, Mary Stork. And here's where you get into the good stuff. By 1899, the newspapers are drawing pictures. So now you have an illustrated story there. It's not just we're telling you what's going on there. Mary Stork lived on Division Street down the road here. And anyway, her husband was a well digger, had died not that long before, out up on Stringtown Road. He was digging a well, and gas got into the well. And anyway, he succumbed then. So what happened is she went out one night. She was going out riding carriage there. She told her 17-year-old son and her daughter there that, yeah, I'll be back later there, but I need to go out riding there. And they never saw who was driving the carriage there. She went missing. They didn't find her for a number of days there. So at the time there, the first thought was, okay, all this stuff's going on. She went out and committed suicide there. Like I said, the pictures. The body of Mrs. Stork found in the ditch there. And then there's her two children there. So, so now you're getting and they get more graphic then too there. Where they found her was out off Slaughter Avenue, which is the Lloyd, by the state hospital. There, at first there, other people were out riding. They stopped, got out of their carriage, and they were walking along, and they found her body down in the ditch, like you see in the picture before. And she was in there. And, they describe everything, and then they talk about how horrendous the stench was, and she was covered with blue flies and spiders, and the real graphic stuff there. They took her back. She'd been laying in the water for a week there like that, and it was decomposed. And so they really didn't think they could find a cause of death, and they were all thinking she'd committed suicide anyway. But what happens is, you like the way they spell clue there. Anyway, though, what they found out then, they buried her there, and cause of death unknown. Well, then it turned up, she had left that night there in the carriage. Later in the week there, they found her hat and her bag in the basement of the house. So at some point, she had come back home. So now they've got something, she didn't just run off and, jump in the ditch there. They exhumed her body then. So that's on the right there. They dug her back up. They did a new inspection there. And this goes on for a while. They're working. When they finally, the coroner's office, they looked her over again there. They found she had a string tied around her neck, a knot there. And the coroner's thing was, well, her neck is 12 and a half inches around, and the string is only 10 and a half inches. She was suffocated there. And the big thing there, like that. And then in the meantime, after she died, the family moved out of the house. So this is within a week or so after she's dead. The new people are in the house, and they're swearing that at night they can hear her screaming and fighting down in the basement there. And anyway, and then the whole story becomes there. Who was driving the buggy? Because nobody ever saw. There was somebody else taking her around there. This is another one of those ones where they never solved it. There, Marianne Stork there, they never found anybody. Now, coincidentally, or coinky-dink, whatever, within a year or so after this, 3 other women had been strangled. The one body they found in the exact same place they found her. The papers there at the time, they were talking about, for Evansville there, they were talking about Jack the Strangler there, because of what was going on in England there. So anyway, though, but sorry for the technical difficulties here earlier. Coming soon, we don't know when yet, but we've still got a bunch more stories from the 1800s. So because you guys were interested, we're going to do some more. So kind of watch Willard's website and stuff. Probably be the beginning of next year. So thank you all. Yeah. Anybody have any questions? Oh, it's there. There. But yeah. A lot of it's out of newspapers and then also court records. The newspapers now, I mean, here at Willard, we've got 3 different newspaper programs where you can go in it and you can put a name or you can put something just generic like murder, and it'll bring up all of these where you can then, look for a specific topic like that. It makes it, yeah, you just need a library card. There, yeah. Probably at some point there. But that's why I say there's enough others just still in the 1800s there for another program. I mean, without getting into, the things we're used to in the 1900s, Irvin and Ray Ryan blowing up, and I mean, Gilligan and stuff there. But that's what I say. There's murder is not as uncommon as you'd think, especially in the old days. I mean, everybody thinks that's something that happens now that it used to not. There. Anything else? Yeah. No. It's to me it's history. There. Anything else? Again, thank you guys for coming tonight.